was 24 years old, and I was in the U.S. Army, and on April 13th, I was on a routine convoy through central Baghdad, and my vehicle was struck by a roadside bomb. And to make what could be a pretty long story pretty short, you can see here today that blast resulted in the loss of my left leg above the knee. So suddenly, after 24 years of having both my legs, I was missing one. And you can imagine a lot of things kind of run through your head and wondering what life is going to be like. I was sent on to Walter Reed to do my recovery and my rehab there. And if you've ever been to Walter Reed, you know it's a really powerful place. And what I mean by that is I got there, went through a couple days of trying to figure out where I was and what was happening. And when I woke up and looked up around me, I noticed that I was one of the lucky ones. There was a lot of veterans there that were missing 2 limbs, 3 limbs, 4 limbs, their eyesight, traumatic brain injury. And I really made a decision then that I was going to live my life for those that had given the ultimate sacrifice. I felt very lucky to have my life and to have 3 good limbs in my mind and my eyesight and just to be able to do the things that I wanted to do. So, there came a lot of kind of trials and tribulations of trying to figure out, will I be able to walk again? Will I be able to be independent again? And finally, a few months after my injury, I realized that I was. I got my prosthetic leg decorated with the flag, which I'm very passionate about, and was able to walk up and down the hallway and realize that I was going to be independent again. But I really wanted to do something more, and for me, that was sports. I had been a gymnast when I was younger, dreamed of going to the Olympics, and really wanted to get back into athletics. And lucky for me, there's a whole bunch of organizations out there that are dedicated to getting people like myself out of their hospital bed and out doing something that they never thought that they could do. So a few months after I was injured, I was skiing down the ski slopes of Breckenridge, Colorado. I was riding a hand cycle, a bike that you power with your arms through the New York City Marathon, and a marathon that I would go back and run many years later. But just these events of showing myself that it didn't matter if I had one leg, I could still get out there and I could still be an athlete. And not long after I did all this stuff, a man came to Walter Reed and told me about the U.S. Paralympics. And if you don't know, the U.S. Paralympics is just like the Olympic Games, Summer Games, Winter Games. It takes place in the same place as the Olympics, in the same venue. So in 2005, I knew that in 2008, there was going to be a Paralympic Games, and it was going to be in Beijing, China. And when I heard about this, it was almost like I had a second chance. I dreamt of going to the Olympics. I wanted to represent the USA, this country that I had defended over in Iraq, and what greater honor would it be to represent it over in Beijing, China, on the world's biggest athletic stage. So I decided it was going to happen. I decided to figure out how to do it and put the work in to make it happen. So I started to swim recreationally at Walter Reed and thought, you know what? I love the pool. I love to get in. The water kind of made me feel whole again. I had a lot of room for improvement. So I thought, I'm going to give it a shot in swimming. So in April of 2005, 1 year, 1 week, and 1 leg later, I was medically retired from the military. I moved up to Minnesota for 2 things. Number 1, I went back to school for prosthetics, where you fit other amputees with artificial limbs. And I also joined my first swim team with this goal of being a Paralympian in 2008. 2 years later, I graduated school for prosthetics. I had swam thousands of laps in the pool, back and forth. My times had gotten a little bit better. But when I graduated from school, I knew that time was kind of the essence, and I moved out to Colorado Springs Training Center, the Olympic Training Center, and put everything towards making this goal of becoming a Paralympian a reality. And it paid off, and I learned that dreams can really come true. And in 2008, I got to swim in the water cube over in Beijing, China. I got to wear that uniform and represent our country, and it was one of those moments that kind of made everything come together. The whole journey from Baghdad to Beijing, kind of everything that came with it, was almost like it seemed like it was meant to be. And I'd really never been so proud to be there and to represent my country. So after Beijing, thanks. So after Beijing, I moved back to Chicago, where I live now, to continue my career in the field of prosthetics. But I knew that my life as an athlete wasn't over. I learned to live a life of sport. The feeling of, training hard for something and crossing that finish line and seeing how well you can do and how you see that training can pay off. And there was an organization called the Challenged Athletes Foundation, and they actually sent me out to California to try my first triathlon. Now, I don't have to tell you guys, but triathletes can be a little crazy. And when they invited me out to do this triathlon, I thought, why on earth would I want to swim, bike, and run? I can already swim. I started to run, but add a bike in it and do all 3. That seemed a little nuts. But I went out to California, did my first triathlon, crossed that finish line with these able-bodied athletes with disabilities like myself, and found a new passion. I found I was so passionate about the sport, about the challenge of doing the swim, the bike, and the run, and the challenge of I wear a prosthetic leg here today, and I have a different prosthetic leg for the bike, and then another one for the run. So transition tomorrow, you have your wetsuit and your shoes, and I have the wetsuit, one shoe, a biking leg, and a running leg, and coming to transition and trying to, get your biking leg on as quick as you can. You finish the bike, throw that one off, and put your running leg on, and just kind of adds this whole other challenge, but I loved it. And turns out, wasn't too bad at it. And in 2011, 10, 11, and 12, I was part of the para-triathlon national team. I've gotten to compete at 3 world championships in Budapest, Beijing, and New Zealand. And all 3, I've actually crossed that finish line first and be able to stand on top of that podium and hear that national anthem, and really kind of bringing me back to 2004 when I said I wanted to live my life for those that gave the ultimate sacrifice. And I find that I race in honor of those that did just that. So I'm back in Chicago. I'm here today. I tell you guys my story, and I wouldn't be up here if it weren't for a lot of organizations that kind of paved the way to help me be up here. So one of them that I've kind of helped co-founded with a friend of mine here is called Dare to Try, and we're out in Chicago, and we help athletes with physical disabilities get out into the sport of triathlon, and just realizing, I don't have to tell you guys that when you cross that finish line, it's the confidence of being able just to finish that race. It doesn't matter how fast you do it, but just to be out there among your friends, among your peers, doing something that you love. We all do the sport because we love it, but really just be able to give back to other athletes and show them really what they're capable of. So para-triathlon will debut as a Paralympic sport in 2016. I'll hope to be there again representing the U.S., and I will also attempt my first Ironman in November in Arizona this year. So if any of you are out there, we'll see you down there. But that's really my story. It's really an honor for me to be here and to race tomorrow. And what I've learned through it all is it's been 9 years since I lost my leg. I've learned that life is short and you should really give it your all every day. And things can happen pretty quickly. And be proud of whatever you do with your life. Be proud of it. And if you got the chance to come up here and tell your story, hopefully we would realize that you are proud of what you've done. And also just, we live in the greatest country in the world. So I'm thankful every day for what we have here, the things we're able to do, and hopefully we can all come together and love America. So we'll see you guys on the race course tomorrow. Thank you.
Thanks, Melissa. We're so